Master the silence. Win the no-contact battle with Stoic Power. Welcome to Ancient Stoic Secrets, where timeless wisdom meets the raw struggles of modern men. Every breakup, no matter how fiery it begins, always ends in the same place: silence. No more late-night conversations, no more desperate what-if texts sent into the void, just silence. And within that silence, a hidden war begins. It's not fought with shouting matches or dramatic words. It's a quiet war, more ruthless than anything on the surface. A battle against your own impulses, your own longing, your own mind. Most men misunderstand this moment. They think going no contact is a clever move to win her back, to make her miss them, to tip the scales of control. But here's the truth that will set you free. This has never been about her. No contact is not a game you play with her emotions. It's the battlefield where you reclaim yourself. It's about breaking the chains of emotional dependency, about remembering that your worth was never hers to decide. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, understood this deeply. They taught that the only true power you can ever hold is over your own mind. You cannot control her. You cannot control the world. But you can control your thoughts, your actions, your responses. That is where true strength lives. This silent battle will test every ounce of discipline you have. Not because you're fighting her, but because you're fighting the hardest enemy you'll ever face: yourself. And when you win this battle, you don't just regain peace. You gain something far greater: a self so unshakable that no one's absence can break it again. Stay with me, because today we're going to uncover how to master the silence, not with manipulation, but with stoic courage and inner transformation. If you're ready to stop chasing, to stop pouring your energy into the past, and start becoming the man you are meant to be, hit that subscribe button and comment, "I master the silence." Now, let's begin. 1. The real purpose of no contact. Most men step into the world of no contact with the wrong vision. They treat it like a move in a chess game, a silent tactic designed to make her miss them, to spark regret, to tip the balance of power back in their favor. They imagine silence will pull her closer, that withholding attention will somehow make her see their worth. But here's the hard truth. If your silence is about her, you've already lost, because the true purpose of no contact is liberation, not manipulation. It's not about making her chase you. It's about freeing yourself. Imagine you're holding a rope that's burning your hands. Every moment you stay focused on whether she's thinking about you, whether she's checking your profile, whether she feels guilty or misses you, you keep gripping that rope tighter, and the pain only grows. The real act of no contact is letting go of that rope completely. It's about cutting the invisible cord that keeps you emotionally enslaved to her approval, her presence, her validation. Every day you obsess over her reactions, you're handing over the strings to your own life. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom doesn't come from controlling someone else's feelings. It comes from reclaiming your own. Think about this. Every text you resist sending, every late-night urge you fight to check her social media, every moment you sit in stillness instead of chasing closure, these aren't just small acts of discipline. They are moments where your brain begins to rewire itself. At first, you'll feel the withdrawal, like a man stepping away from an addiction. Your mind will scream for that dopamine hit, that rush of attention you used to get from her. But over time, those old patterns begin to break. Your focus clears, your energy returns, and slowly you begin to feel something you haven't felt in a long time: power. No contact isn't about punishing her. It's about teaching yourself the deepest truth, that you are enough without her, that your peace, confidence, and future don't depend on anyone else's choices. When you finally see this, the silence transforms. It's no longer a game of control. It becomes sacred, a forge that reshapes you into a stronger, calmer, more grounded version of yourself. And here's the paradox. The real victory isn't when she texts you or when she regrets leaving. The real victory is the morning you wake up, look in the mirror, and realize you no longer need her presence to feel whole. That's the day you've mastered not just the silence, but yourself. 2. The psychological pull of silence. Silence is far more powerful than most men realize. When you truly embrace no contact, not as a performance or game, but as a disciplined act of detachment, it triggers a reaction deep within both you and her. Human beings are creatures of habit. Every relationship has a rhythm. She speaks, you respond. She pulls away, you chase. She tests, you reassure. That pattern repeats until it becomes predictable, safe, almost automatic. But when you suddenly step out of that rhythm, something strange happens. Your silence creates a vacuum. And here's the thing about the human mind. It hates vacuums. It desperately wants to fill the empty space with answers.
Imagine this. She's used to you always replying within minutes. She knows how to push your buttons, how to get reassurance when she feels unsure. Then one day, nothing. No calls, no texts, no posts for her to decode. Just stillness. At first, she might feel relief. But as days pass, questions begin to swirl in her mind. Why isn't he chasing me? Has he moved on? Did he finally realize his worth? That uncertainty grows louder with every hour of silence, until it becomes almost deafening. Here's the paradox. Your silence doesn't gain power because you're doing something. It gains power because you've stopped doing everything. You've disrupted the story she was telling herself. Modern psychology calls this pattern interruption. The Stoics understood it centuries ago. When you withdraw from what you can't control and turn inward, you create space. Space in the world around you and space inside yourself. That space is power. It's like clearing a cluttered room. Suddenly there's room to breathe, to move, to grow. And whether she admits it or not, your absence forces her to face that emptiness. But here's what most men get wrong. They start watching her reaction, waiting to see if she notices. The moment you do that, you fall back into the same trap. You're still making it about her. True Stoic silence has nothing to do with playing games. It's not about proving a point. It's about becoming the man who no longer needs to fill silence with noise, whether that noise comes from desperate texts or constant distractions. Think of a man like Daniel. When his relationship ended, his first instinct was to beg for closure, to explain himself, to fight for her attention. But instead, he chose silence, not to win her back, but to win himself back. He hit the gym, picked up new skills, and rebuilt his circle of friends. Weeks later, she reached out. But by then, Daniel had grown so much that her message didn't define him anymore. Whether she stayed or left didn't matter, because his foundation was now his own. That's the ultimate paradox of silence. When you stop using it to pull someone toward you, it becomes the very thing that pulls you upward. Silence stops feeling like waiting and starts feeling like presence. A quiet, unshakable strength that transforms not only how she sees you, but more importantly, how you see yourself. 3. Detachment versus pretending. There's a world of difference between true detachment and simply pretending not to care. And this difference changes everything. Many men blur the line without even realizing it. They cut off contact, block her number, maybe even post cryptic quotes online to prove they've moved on. On the surface, it looks like strength, but underneath, their thoughts still orbit around her. Every decision they make, Every action they take is secretly designed to get a reaction. That's not detachment. That's performance. True detachment doesn't need an audience. It doesn't ask for applause or validation. It's a private decision, a quiet shift inside you. It's when you finally accept reality as it is, without trying to twist it into what you wish it to be. It's the moment you stop bargaining with the past and start owning the present. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic emperors, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Pretending is all about shaping her perception of you. Detachment is about shaping yourself. When you're pretending, she still holds the strings. Every social post, every subtle signal, every thought of, "Did she notice?" keeps you chained to her world. You're free in appearance, but a prisoner in your own mind. But when you choose real detachment, the focus shifts inward. It's no longer about whether she sees your value. It's about whether you see it. This is where transformation begins. Let me paint a picture. Imagine a man named Victor. After his breakup, he posted daily about how happy and unbothered he was. He looked confident to the outside world. But every night, he scrolled through her photos, waiting for her to like one of his posts or send a message. When nothing came, his whole facade crumbled, because his silence wasn't real. It was a performance. Now imagine another man, Thomas. When his relationship ended, he didn't announce anything. He didn't block her to punish her or flaunt his new life online. Instead, he went inward. He read books on philosophy, rebuilt his fitness, and started a passion project he'd been delaying for years. Weeks later, she reached out. But by then, Thomas had grown so much that her message didn't define him anymore. Whether she stayed or left didn't matter, because his foundation was now his own. That's the ultimate paradox of silence. When you stop using it to pull someone toward you, it becomes the very thing that pulls you upward. Silence stops feeling like waiting and starts feeling like presence. A quiet, unshakable strength that transforms not only how she sees you, but more importantly, how you see yourself. 4. Why breaking no contact destroys you. Every man who has ever tried no contact knows this moment. The silence grows heavy.
The nights feel longer. The emptiness presses in like a storm. And suddenly, a thought creeps in. Maybe I should just reach out once. Maybe if I explain myself, she'll finally understand. Maybe if I show her how much I've changed, she'll come back. That voice sounds logical in the moment. It even feels noble, like you're fighting for love. But the truth? It's a trap. And it's the exact reason so many men fail. Breaking no contact isn't just about sending a text. It's about what that action screams to both her and yourself. When you break, you send a message. My emotions still rule me. My discipline is fragile. My peace still depends on her response. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus warned about this centuries ago. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding the things beyond our control. The moment you reach out, you're trying to control something that was never yours to command. Her thoughts, her choices, her story. And in that desperate reach, you surrender the only real power you've ever had: mastery over yourself. From a psychological perspective, breaking no contact resets the entire cycle. It reignites the same chemical addiction that kept you hooked on her attention. Think about it like this. Every unanswered text, every cold reply,
Every half-hearted response is like throwing gasoline on a fire you were finally starting to put out. Suddenly, you're right back at square one, more anxious, more desperate, more dependent than before. Picture a man named Alex. For 3 weeks, he held strong. He went to the gym, reconnected with friends, even started sleeping better. But one lonely night, he caved. He sent her a long emotional message. She replied with a polite but distant, "Hope you're well." In an instant, Alex's progress evaporated. Not because of her words, but because he betrayed himself. This is the danger of breaking no contact. It teaches your own mind a dangerous lesson, that you cannot be trusted to stay strong. Each day you hold the line is a quiet victory, proof that your discipline is stronger than your impulses. But the moment you fold, you undo that progress. You confirm to yourself that emotions, not reason, are steering the ship. This isn't about punishment or shame. It's about truth. If you want to become a man who commands his own life, you must show yourself through action that you can endure discomfort. Because strength isn't built in moments of ease. It's forged in the fire of longing, in the nights when everything inside you screams to act, and you choose stillness instead. The man who endures the silence without flinching wins a prize far greater than a text back. He wins freedom. He proves that his peace no longer depends on anyone else's choices. And when you reach that level of mastery, no one, not even her, can take it from you again. 5. The Stoic approach to the silent battle. The silent battle is not fought in the world outside of you. It's fought in the quiet corners of your mind. In those restless hours when you lie awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of everything you wish you could change. Every day, the urge rises, the urge to reach out, the urge to fill the silence with words, even if you know those words won't heal you. The urge to do something, anything, just to escape the discomfort. This is the exact moment where Stoic philosophy becomes your greatest weapon. The Stoics didn't avoid pain or pretend it didn't exist. They faced it head-on. They believed pain was a forge, shaping men into something stronger if they chose to endure it with courage and clarity. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, left us a blueprint for moments like this. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Those words are the heart of no contact. You cannot control her thoughts, her choices, or the story she's telling herself. But what you can control, what you must control, is you, your actions, your energy, your focus. Think about a warrior sharpening a blade. Each time you resist the temptation to reach out, you are sharpening your own sword, the sword of self-control. Every day you redirect your focus inward, toward growth, purpose, and personal strength. You are laying down a foundation that no one can ever take away from you. Take the example of a man named Samuel. His relationship ended, leaving him broken and desperate for answers. Instead of chasing closure, he turned to the teachings of Stoicism. Each morning, he journaled about what was within his control and what wasn't. He trained his body, fed his mind, and built a small business he had been putting off for years. Weeks later, she reached out. But by then, Samuel had grown so much that her message didn't hold the same power. His silence wasn't a tactic to win her back. It had become a daily practice of self-respect. And that's the shift Stoicism creates. No contact stops being a waiting game and becomes a ritual of transformation. At first, silence feels like punishment. It stings. It makes you question yourself. But over time, it changes shape. The emptiness that once felt unbearable begins to feel like freedom. You no longer measure success by whether she notices or responds. You stop obsessing over what lies outside your control. Instead, you move with calm certainty, knowing that your peace belongs to you and to you alone. This is the beauty of the Stoic approach. Silence is no longer a prison. It becomes a forge where your weaknesses are burned away and your inner strength emerges, unshakable and undeniable. When you embrace this process, you realize something profound. You never needed her to validate your worth. You never needed her to choose you in order to be whole. The only victory that matters is the one within yourself.
6. The power of redirection. Silence by itself is not strength. If all you do is sit still, count the days, and wait for her to notice, you haven't built power. You've simply built a prison. The true power of no contact comes through redirection. It's not just about cutting her out of your life, it's about taking all that energy you once poured into her and channeling it back into yourself. Think about it. When a relationship ends, it leaves a void. The texts you used to send, the plans you used to make, even the mental energy you spent wondering what she was thinking. Suddenly, all of that becomes empty space. And here's the thing about the human mind. It hates emptiness. If you don't intentionally fill that space with something meaningful, your mind will pull you right back toward the past. The Stoics understood this perfectly. Epictetus taught that freedom doesn't come from clinging to what you can't control, but from turning your attention to what you can. And what you can control is you. Your habits, your focus, your daily rituals, your mission. Imagine a man named James. When his girlfriend left, he felt like his whole life collapsed. At first, he spent weeks replaying conversations in his head, stalking her social media, and wondering if she'd ever regret it. But then he made a different choice. Every time the urge to reach out hit him, he redirected that energy into something constructive. He hit the gym with relentless consistency. He signed up for a class to learn a new skill. He started building a side business he'd been putting off for years. Months later, his ex reached out. But by then, James had become a different man. Her return didn't define him because his life had grown bigger than her. This is the essence of redirection. It's not about distraction, it's about transformation. Every hour you once wasted on her attention becomes fuel for your evolution. What once felt like pain begins to feel like progress. Your world expands, your circle strengthens, and slowly, the person you were obsessed with begins to fade into the background. Ask yourself, what if you poured the same energy you gave to her into building the strongest version of you? What if the silence you once feared became the very space where your greatness was born? The silent battle is truly not won by waiting her out. It's won when you create a life so rich, so disciplined, so full of purpose that no woman's presence or absence can shake it. When you master redirection, you stop being a man who begs for attention, you become the source of your own validation. And that is the kind of power no one can take away. 7. When she breaks the silence. If you stay disciplined long enough, there may come a day when she breaks the silence. It won't always be dramatic. It might be a simple text. Hey, how have you been? A casual emoji. A random question that doesn't even need a real answer. And in that instant, your heart races. The old hunger for her attention comes flooding back, like a dormant fire roaring to life. Your mind starts spinning stories like, maybe she misses me. Maybe she regrets leaving. Maybe this is my chance to fix everything. But here's the truth most men never realize. This moment is not the finish line. It's the final test. The outcome isn't about what she says. It's about the man you've become in the silence. Has your growth been real? Or was it just a performance you were putting on while you secretly waited for this message? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Your response, or even your choice not to respond, must come from calm strength, not ego. If you reply out of excitement or desperation, you unravel all the progress you've made. But if you act from discipline, you prove to yourself that your peace is no longer in her hands. From a psychological perspective, her message may not mean what you think. Sometimes she's just curious. Sometimes she's lonely or bored. Sometimes she simply wants to confirm that you're still there, still circling her orbit, still giving her unspoken validation. None of that matters. What matters is where you stand. Imagine two men. The first has been waiting for this moment, counting the days, secretly hoping for her return. The second has been building a new life, filling his days with growth, purpose, and self-respect. When she finally texts, the first man reacts with emotional whiplash. His mood rises and falls based on her replies. But the second man? He feels neutral. Her message is just another notification, not a lifeline to his happiness. If you choose to respond, do it with calm detachment. Not to win her back, not to prove a point, but to show yourself that you've grown past the old patterns. Your words should reflect who you've become, not who you used to be. And if you choose not to respond, let that decision come from strength, not spite. Because silence born from true detachment is louder than any words you could send. Here's the paradox. Her breaking the silence isn't the victory. The real victory is realizing you no longer need her to. What once would have sent you into a spiral of hope or anxiety now barely stirs the surface of your calm.
That's when you know you've transcended the game. Her attention no longer defines you. Her absence no longer frightens you. And in that moment, you stand as a man who is unshaken, untouchable, and free. 8. True mastery and the paradox of no contact. There's a level beyond silence where the storm can scream and you stay steady. Not numb, not pretending, steady. That's true mastery. The Stoics called it apatheia, not apathy, but freedom from unhealthy attachment. It's the calm center that remains when the noise outside tries to pull you back in. Her texts, her absence, her choices, none of it decides your peace anymore. Because peace stopped being something you get from others and became something you generate from within. Picture this. Evan used to live on a roller coaster. A text from her lifted him to the sky, silence dropped him through the floor. He tried no contact like a trick, counting days, watching her stories, timing his posts. Nothing changed because the center of gravity was still her. Then Evan did something different. He stopped managing her attention and started mastering his impulses. Morning lifts, evening walks without his phone, a page of journaling before bed. He didn't announce it, he just lived it. Weeks later, his mood no longer rose and fell with his notifications. That's apatheia in real life. Fewer spikes, deeper roots. Here's the paradox most men overlook. Silence only becomes powerful when it reflects who you are now, not what you're hoping to trigger. When your actions aren't coded messages to get a reaction, they're simply the way a grounded man lives. From a mental standpoint, something big shifts. The brain that once chased highs starts to prefer stability. Your nervous system learns a new rhythm: lift, read, build, rest. The "what is she doing" loop gets crowded out by "what am I building today?" And slowly, you stop gripping for control you never had and claim the control you always did. Ask yourself, if she never texted again, what life would you build anyway? If no one were watching, what choices would still make you proud? If peace were a skill,
How many reps would you get in today? A quick practice to anchor this. 1 unmoved hour. Choose any hour today. No phone, no checking, no reaching. Do something that builds you. Train, read, create. 2 sentences nightly. Journal. What I controlled today, what I released today. 3 commitments weekly. Body, craft, service. 1 goal in each lane. Keep it simple, keep it strict. Marcus Aurelius left us a compass. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Read that again. It's not a slogan, it's a training plan. When you live this way, 2 things happen. First, you become quietly magnetic, not because you're trying to be seen, but because calm confidence is rare. Second, outcomes lose their power over you. Whether she reaches out or doesn't, whether the past returns or doesn't, your day is still full, your steps still sure. That's the heart of mastery. No more chasing tests you can't pass. No more waiting rooms for messages that may never come. Just a man standing where his feet are, doing the next right thing again and again. Apatheia is not distance from life, it's presence with yourself. And that presence, steady, simple, disciplined, turns silence from a tactic into a way of being. 10. Rebuilding beyond the battle. The silent battle is not the destination. It's just the doorway, a gateway to a completely new life. Winning the inner war through no contact is only the beginning. What you choose to do after the silence will determine whether this season becomes a prison or the foundation for something extraordinary. Too many men stop here. They survive the silence, maybe even regain their strength, but they never move beyond it. They sit in the quiet, still waiting, still clinging to the past, hoping that one day she'll knock on the door and make sense of everything. And, in doing so, they waste the greatest opportunity of their lives. The true purpose of no contact was never to get her back. It was always to get yourself back, to strip away the neediness, the self-doubt, and the constant hunger for someone else's approval, to burn away the version of you that needed validation just to feel alive, and replace it with a man who generates his own power from within. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that life is fleeting. Time slips through our fingers like water, and the highest good is to live with virtue, discipline, and purpose. That's what rebuilding beyond the battle means, turning silence into action, turning pain into fuel, turning loss into liberation. Consider a man named Michael. When his relationship ended, he thought his life was over. But instead of drowning in regret, he rebuilt brick by brick. He started a fitness journey, pursued a career path he had been too afraid to try, and reconnected with family and friends he had neglected. Months later, he looked in the mirror and barely recognized himself, not because of his muscles or his bank account, but because of the calm confidence shining in his eyes. Michael didn't just heal, he evolved. From a psychological perspective, this process rewires your very identity. You begin to notice it in small ways, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, even the way you respond when life throws challenges at you. You stop reacting and start choosing. And when you've rebuilt yourself this way, something amazing happens. You no longer fight for attention. You no longer beg for love. You attract it effortlessly because you've become whole on your own. Rebuilding beyond the battle is not about revenge or regret. It's about freedom. It's about finally living life on your own terms, with a strength forged in silence and sharpened by discipline.
No contact isn't a game. It's a vow you make to yourself. I will not chase what is left. I will not beg for what's beyond my control. I will build myself instead. And when you live by that vow, you discover the rarest victory of all. A life so full, so unshakable, that no one, past, present, or future, has the power to break it. This is the essence of Stoicism. Not manipulation, not performance, but transformation. A rebirth that begins in silence and ends in freedom. 11. The paradox of no contact. Here's the great paradox of no contact, one that most men never see coming. The very moment you stop needing it to work is the moment it finally does. When most men begin no contact, there's a hidden motive lurking beneath their discipline. They think, if I stay silent long enough, she'll miss me. She'll realize what she lost. She'll come back. But this mindset keeps them trapped in the same prison they're trying to escape, because their entire focus is still on her, not on themselves. In this state, every day of silence isn't strength, it's just waiting. It's silently begging for an outcome they can't control. And ironically, this desperation bleeds through, even without words. Because silence isn't just about what you do, it's about the energy behind why you do it. The true breakthrough happens when you release the outcome completely. When your silence is no longer a tactic, but a reflection of the man you are becoming. When you stop using silence as a way to manipulate her emotions and start using it as a tool to master your own. The Stoics had a powerful word for this state of mind: apatheia. It doesn't mean apathy or cold indifference. It means freedom from unhealthy attachments and emotional turmoil. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this constantly, reminding himself that life is too short to waste on things beyond his control. From a psychological perspective, this shift is profound. In the beginning, your brain is addicted to her attention like a drug. Every text, every memory, every unanswered call creates a surge of craving. But as you redirect your energy inward, into fitness, purpose, relationships, and growth, those cravings begin to weaken. The highs and lows flatten. You start to feel calm, steady, unshakable. And here's the irony. When you no longer need her response, when you finally stopped waiting for her to validate you, that's often when she feels your absence the most. Because your silence is no longer a performance. It's simply who you are now. A man who is whole on his own radiates a quiet strength that others can't ignore. But by the time she feels that shift, something remarkable has happened. You've outgrown the version of yourself who once needed her attention. Her text no longer defines you. Her silence no longer frightens you. Her choices no longer shape your peace. This is the paradox of no contact. It doesn't change her, it changes you. And when you change, the entire game ends. You're no longer fighting to win her back, because you've already won the only battle that matters, the one within yourself. 12. Rebuilding beyond the battle. The silent battle is not the final chapter of your story. It is merely the doorway, a threshold you must cross to step into a life that is richer, stronger, and fully your own. Many men think no contact is the finish line. They survive the silence, they stop chasing, they even feel a spark of strength returning. But then they just wait, waiting for her to come back, waiting for life to magically feel whole again, waiting instead of building. And that waiting becomes another prison. The truth is, the silent battle was never meant to end with you standing still. Its real purpose is to strip away everything false: the neediness, the self-doubt, the hunger for someone else's approval. so you can rise and rebuild yourself from the ground up. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning that life is brief and that the highest good is to live with virtue, courage, and purpose. Your time is too precious to spend clinging to what's already gone. The only question that matters now is this: what will you create with the energy you've reclaimed? Imagine two men standing at the same crossroads. One keeps replaying the past, stalking her social media, drowning in what-if scenarios. The other takes that same pain and turns it into fuel. He commits to his fitness like his life depends on it. He pours himself into his work, his craft, his passions. He seeks out new experiences, new friendships, new challenges. One man stays trapped, the other man evolves. From a psychological perspective, this rebuilding rewires your very identity. You'll notice it in subtle ways. The way you speak with quiet confidence, the way you carry yourself into a room, the calm way you respond when life tests you. You stop reacting, you start choosing, and slowly you become a man whose presence speaks louder than his words. Here's the beauty of this stage. Once you've rebuilt yourself, you'll never fight for attention again. You won't have to chase love or validation. You'll attract it naturally, because people are drawn to wholeness, to strength that doesn't demand to be seen. But rebuilding isn't just about becoming attractive, it's about freedom. Freedom from the past, freedom from the fear of being alone, freedom from the belief that your worth depends on anyone else's presence. When you dedicate yourself to this process, you realize the silent battle was never truly about her. It was about you, your discipline, your growth, your ability to rise above the noise and create a life so full, so meaningful, that no loss can ever define you again.
No contact was never a game. It was a vow, a promise to yourself. I will not chase what is left. I will not beg for what I cannot control. I will build myself instead. When you live by that vow, the past fades into insignificance, and you begin to see clearly. Your greatest love story will never be with another person. It will be with the man you've chosen to become. 13. The final victory. The silent battle has never truly been about her. It has never been about who texted first, who stayed silent longer, or who won in the messy scoreboard of modern relationships. From the very beginning, it has always been about you, your growth, your discipline, your ability to rise above the chaos and master yourself. When you first started this journey, you thought silence was a weapon to change her. But now you see it clearly. Silence was always meant to change you. It was the forge that burned away your weaknesses, the training ground where your impulses were tested, and the mirror that forced you to face your truest self. The moment you realize this, the game ends. Her silence, her return, even her regret, they all become irrelevant because you've discovered the one truth the Stoics taught for centuries. No one can give you lasting peace but you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Imagine standing on a high mountain after a long, brutal climb. At the bottom, you are gasping for air, clinging to every rock, doubting every step. But now, at the summit, you look down and realize the storm you feared so deeply was never the enemy. It was the teacher. It shaped your muscles, sharpened your mind, and revealed who you truly are. That's what the silent battle does. It takes heartbreak and turns it into wisdom. It takes loneliness and turns it into self-discovery. It takes loss and transforms it into freedom. From a psychological perspective, this is why so few men ever reach this stage. Most get stuck replaying memories,
obsessing over what if, or waiting for closure that never comes. But the man who embraces silence as a path to mastery doesn't just heal, he evolves. He builds a life so full, so meaningful, that no relationship or its ending can shake it. And here's the profound irony. When you finally reach this level, you stop chasing altogether. You no longer beg for attention or validation. You attract love, respect, and opportunity naturally, not because you're trying to, but because your wholeness speaks for itself. The silent battle was never about making her realize your worth. It was about you realizing it yourself. It was about becoming a man who no longer depends on someone else's presence to feel complete. So as you step forward from this chapter, remember the vow you made. I will not chase what has left. I will not beg for what is beyond my control. I will build myself instead. When you live by that vow, you rise above the noise. You become a man who moves through life with quiet strength, untouched by the storms of others, and free in a way few ever experience. And that, my friend, is the ultimate victory. Not her text, not her return, not her apology, but the calm, unshakable truth that you have mastered the only battle that truly matters, the battle within yourself. 14. Living the Stoic life beyond the battle. Winning the silent battle is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of a new way of living. The discipline you've built through silence is not just a tool for surviving heartbreak. It is the foundation for a life rooted in purpose, calm, and unshakable strength. Too many men view this process as a temporary fix. Survive the breakup, regain confidence, maybe even win her back. But the truth is far deeper. The man you've become through this journey is not meant to return to who he was before. He's meant to evolve into someone greater. The Stoics didn't practice philosophy just to endure pain. They practiced it to live fully, to face every challenge, love, loss, success, or failure, with the same grounded presence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This is your invitation to create a life so full that no one person, no single relationship can ever define or diminish it.
Think of this next phase as building your inner empire. Your body becomes your fortress, your mind becomes your counsel, and your actions become the laws by which you live. Instead of chasing someone else's world, you create a world so meaningful that people naturally want to be part of it. Consider a man named Daniel, who not only survived his heartbreak, but used it to ignite his purpose. He began volunteering at a local youth center, mentoring young men who were walking the same painful road he once traveled. Through teaching others resilience, Daniel deepened his own. His story is proof that healing isn't just about moving on. It's about giving back and creating ripple effects of strength in the lives of others. From a psychological perspective, this stage is critical. When you live for something larger than yourself, your brain rewires itself around meaning and service, replacing old cycles of obsession with patterns of growth. The pain that once consumed you becomes fuel, not just for personal progress, but for impact. Ask yourself, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? What kind of man do you want to become? Not just for yourself, but for everyone you touch. When you answer these questions with action, your past heartbreak transforms into a mission. It no longer defines you, it propels you. This is where the silent battle transcends into something eternal. You are no longer just a man who survived a breakup. You are a man who mastered his mind, who forged his spirit in the fire of silence, and who now walks through life unshaken and untouchable. And when future storms come, as they always will, you won't fear them, because you'll know, deep in your bones, that every obstacle is just another step on the path of becoming. The silence you once dreaded has now become your greatest teacher, guiding you toward a life of freedom, purpose, and profound strength. As we reach the end of this journey, remember this: the silent battle was never just about her. It was about you, your growth, your discipline, your ability to rise above pain and chaos. Life will always bring storms. Relationships will change. People will leave, and circumstances will test you. But when you've built a strong inner fortress, no storm can tear it down. That's the essence of Stoic mastery, learning to stay calm, steady, and powerful no matter what happens outside of you. Take a moment and think, what kind of story do you want your life to tell? Not just to others, but to yourself. Will you be the man who was broken by loss, or the man who used it as the fire to forge something greater? The choice is yours, and it begins right now, with the steps you take today. If this message spoke to you, don't walk this path alone. Join a community of men who are learning to rise above the noise, who are rewriting their stories through courage and discipline. Subscribe to Ancient Stoic Secrets. Hit that notification bell and drop a comment below saying, "I master the silence." Your voice matters here. Your journey matters here. And when you share it, you may inspire someone else who desperately needs to hear your story. The battle isn't over. It's just beginning. Walk forward with calm strength, knowing that you already hold the power within you. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue building the kind of life that no one, not heartbreak, not failure, not fear, can ever take away. Subscribe now, and let's rise together.